is generally light and drizzly. Spring showers, which offer relief from the dryness of the winter air, are harbingers of warmer days. This gentle rain soothes the spirit. Around June and July is the summer rainy season. This was the 5th month on Japan's old calendar, which is why the rain at this time of year is called Samidare, or 5th month rain. Warm, moist air from a North Pacific high and cool, moist air from a high over the Sea of Okhotsk meet to create a rain front. This front is responsible for the rainy season, which continues for 40 to 50 days. Rice, Japan's staple food, is grown in paddies. Cultivating rice requires large amounts of water. This early summer rain plays a key role in feeding the Japanese population because it falls during the growing season for rice. From summer to autumn, Japan experiences a typhoon season. Typhoons bring with them strong winds and long periods of heavy rain across a wide area. Typhoons emerge when tropical cyclones that form in the western part of the North Pacific Ocean grow stronger as they travel north. On average, 11.4 typhoons approach Japan each year. Year after year, typhoons leave their mark across Japan. Mudslides, broken embankments, damage from flooding. In Japan, rain has been portrayed in many works of art. The famous ukiyo-e artist Utagawa Hiroshige often depicted scenes of rain. This is one of his most famous works. It depicts people scrambling about in a sudden downpour. The rain focuses attention on the feelings of the people in this everyday scene. The rain in this print is drawn in fine lines of black and grey. This creates a sense of depth. In contrast, this print depicts a scene of softly falling rain. Travellers walk through it with an air of resignation. Hiroshige also created more eccentric works. This one depicts a wedding procession. It's raining, but there are no clouds. And look closely, you'll notice that the attendees are all foxes. In Japan, rain that falls amid sunshine is commonly called a fox's wedding. From time immemorial, foxes have been regarded as messengers of the gods, and they're said to possess special powers. Rain during sunshine was rare and somehow magical, and people came to associate it with foxes celebrating a wedding. For the Japanese, rain is more than just a natural phenomenon. It is indispensable in everyday life and a key factor in Japan's rich cultural heritage.
This is a so-called disaster prevention center in Chiba Prefecture, just east of Tokyo. And you can come here to experience in controlled circumstances the effects of rainstorms, earthquakes, and fires. Now, you're going to see a readout on the wall here telling you how much rainfall we have and what the wind speed is, depending on what's going on here in a few minutes' time. We're going to start off with rainfall of about 10 millimeters an hour, and the wind speed is also going to read 10. Now that means 10 meters a second, which is how wind speed is denoted in Japan. That doesn't mean very much to me, and it may not mean very much to you, so it's about 35 kilometers an hour.
Don't know if I like this wind very much.
Well, I can't exactly say that was very much fun. It wasn't too bad, but wouldn't want to be out in that for more than was absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, we're now going to have to ramp up the rain and wind speed to 3 times what they were. So it's going to be 30 millimeters an hour, and the wind speed is going to be, what, over 100 kilometers an hour? Don't know if I'm terribly keen on this, but what must be done, must be done. suspect you probably don't need me to tell you how horrible that was. It was absolutely miserable. I don't think I've ever experienced wind like that in Tokyo, although Tokyo does get its fair share of typhoons almost every year. Tokyo's annual rainfall is actually about 1,500 millimeters a year, which is slightly less than the Japanese average. Some parts of Japan can get as much as 3 times that amount. Next, we're going to take a look at the sort of rain that parts of Japan do get and how they deal with it.
This is Odaigahara, a highland forest in the eastern part of the Kii Peninsula. Each year, around 5,000 millimeters of rain falls here, making it one of the wettest places in Japan. The forest is located about 15 kilometers from the Pacific Ocean. Wet ocean air collides with the mountains and is forced upwards, where it forms huge numbers of clouds. These clouds are why the forest receives so much rain. People were once afraid to enter the forest because they believed supernatural creatures lived there. Many people who entered the forest were never heard from again. The creature blamed for these abductions was a one-legged monster called Hitotsu Tatara. Shinichi Tagaito is the head priest at a shrine in the forest. He has his own explanation for these supernatural creatures. I imagine what they called the Hitotsu Tatara was really these cloudbursts, the biggest in Japan. In the past, travelers who became lost in the woods might have died of hypothermia during intense rainstorms. Tagaito says these rainstorms are probably what gave rise to the Hitotsu Tatara legend. In August, the moist air from the ocean forms a thick fog that envelops the forest. Thunder booms, and a heavy rain begins to fall. Over 1,000 millimeters of rain in a single day has been recorded here. Locals call this rods of rain. The rain seems to pour down in unbroken lines from the sky. Now let's see footage of that rain captured by a high-speed camera. You can see each raindrop clearly. These beads of rain range from 1 to 4 millimeters across. As the rain intensifies, the shape of the beads begins to change. The larger beads of rain lose their round shape due to air resistance. These huge, distorted beads of rain are almost 1 centimeter across. This is a small community at the foot of Odaigahara. Here, people deal with heavy rain using a method passed down through the ages. In front of each house is a tall stone wall. The eaves of the house have a wooden apron that shields the side of the house from rain, even when it's falling at a sharp angle. Special preparations are carried out before a typhoon. Many bamboo poles are laid against the eaves and secured so that the wind doesn't blow them away. A typhoon blows in. It brings heavy rain, nearly 200 millimeters a day. But the house is protected by a combination of the stone wall, the protruding eaves, and the bamboo poles. Outside, the rain is thundering down. But on the inner side of the screen, it's very quiet. The bamboo helps to absorb the sound of the rain. The rain that falls in Odaigahara also brings a bounty to the nearby sea. Rain in the mountains picks up nutrients and pours into streams. The rivers then flow into the ocean, enabling plankton at each river mouth to flourish. This makes these waters an ideal environment for raising oysters. The more rain, the better the quality of oyster. Oyster production in the ocean below is intimately tied to rainfall in the forests above. The rainwater completes its journey when it reaches the sea. But the sea is the starting point for that very same journey. Seawater evaporates to form the clouds that drop rain on the forest. This endless cycle of rain enriches nature and provides for man.
I'm at the Japan Weather Association, where, among other things, they supply information that's used on television and radio weather reports.
This is the radio booth, where our meteorologists broadcast the latest weather information.
There's something I've noticed which seems to me to be unique to Japan, and that's on television when they have the weather forecast, they always give probability of precipitation in percentage numbers.
The Japanese have a tendency to worry about whether they should take an umbrella or not. So, to help